4 and
We're
3
back.
and 2 and 1 and... Oh, sorry.
Look at us. Welcome in, everybody. What a glorious Monday it is.
That's a heck of a sigh, Christopher.
Oh, yes. Panels, panels, panels. Oh, my. That's the name of the stream. Because guess what? We're doing some panels today. Good panels, though. This is a great panel. Welcome in, everybody. Sarcastic Grandpa, Dusty Hobbies, Ghost Hunter, Paint Liquor, Sugar Rush, Slow Speed, Blood Walrus, Thumb Palette Enthusiast, Wad,
Hola.
Schmid. Hey, guess what? It's
Chicken
painting
butt.
panels.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I thought it was always chicken butt. Guess what? Chicken butt.
Now, Chad.
I'm here for you, Chris.
I hear you. I hear you and understand. How you doing today, Jason?
I am doing great. Guess what I did, chat?
What'd you do?
I fixed the problem in the studio.
You did, and it actually looks very clean.
I realized, much to my chagrin, love that word, chagrin.
No, it's Shaglerin.
Much to my chagrin,
There you go.
that it wasn't going to get done without me
That's right.
putting forth the effort. And so I did it. And I wish there was a way we could turn the camera to show you.
Oh, we could. It would be a little bit of a complicated manner.
But
look, I could do this. I could use this little...
all the years that I've been
You're not gonna be
asking
able to see it.
for a paint rack cam,
Oh my gosh! Oh!
and it has yet to come to
Well,
fruition.
Jason, now that the paints are actually on the rack, I think we can consider that as a team.
I mean, they were on the rack when we started this foray.
When we started, day one happened, 50 paints on the table.
It wasn't 50 in day one. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. It was
That's
close.
okay. That's all right. I understand. Now we can consider all of these things.
I'm an artist.
Mechanized Imposter is an artist too. 15-month streak. Thank you for those subs.
And I cannot be told how to art.
Yes, you haven't really fixed the problem because I'm still here.
He better be. He didn't get to leave. What are you talking about? How's your weekend? Did you go to Medieval Times?
We went to Medieval Times to celebrate Gabe, the wonderful Gabe. And you guys can clip that because it's the last time.
Yeah,
I'll
he
give
doesn't
him a
say that
compliment.
very often. I'm just going to go out on a limb and
We were
mention
s-
that usually it's not the wonderful Gabe. Usually it's Gabe, that guy.
We celebrated Gabe, his birthday. Send him messages in Discord.
So Gabe no longer exists.
What? What do you mean?
We got to find a new name because that guy walking around the office is not Gabe.
Oh, Gabe did have a haircut and did have a shave.
He got a haircut and he cut his mustache and beard off. Gone, baby butt clean. The man walking around, the boy
The man
who has replaced
boy.
Gabe is
Oh.
what we are left with. I walked up today, or as I drove up today, he was walking up to the office door, and I rolled down the window in my car and I said, "Hey, no loitering. We only allow employees in that entrance." And he goes, "I have a key." And I go, "Thief!" He does
You have a
not look
key.
like Gabe.
Are you a
It is.
locksmith?
It is disturbing.
Yeah. We had a great time this weekend. It was very medieval times. You do it once or twice. That's it.
There are people
The
who
right amount of
There are
cheese.
people who say that they would live at medieval times if given the opportunity, and those people cannot be your friends.
It is the right amount of beautiful cheese. That's what I'll say.
There is something wrong with people who would just be like, "I'll go there every night." Louise,
Yes.
Louise, if you're out there, babe, something wrong with you. Something wrong. We got to be careful about Louise Sugden. She was like, "I would just live at Louise in medieval times." It's the first time she ever went, so that's why I can let her get away with that.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
if it's your first
fun.
time and it's like childlike discovery,
Yeah.
then that's awesome. But if you're a grown-ass adult and you've been there more than about 2 times, you better be able to show me that you have 15 nieces and nephews.
15 nieces. When's his court date? That's hilarious. Hey, speaking of court dates, Silver Plated Bum Thank you for that sub.
Silver bladed or plated?
Plated.
Okay.
Plated.
I really wanted that to be bladed thumb.
Silver plated bum.
I want a silver bladed thumb. I mean, I don't. I wanted it for you. Chat.
Oh. Yes, it was. Was it like for the first time eating the paint? Big Bobzilla, you are banned. We don't eat the paint.
Bob, it was nice knowing you. I have to admit, I gave Chris this power.
I have to start banning people.
And he has mentioned to me in his annual review.
In my annual review.
I always ask, so what abilities and talents do you think you have underutilized? And his was his ban hammer. He came quick with it, and he said, you know what I think I'm not doing enough of is I'm not banning enough fools from chat.
I need to ban. I need
so
to
you need to ban more fools. That's what he told me.
You're banned.
So
you're banned.
Big Bob. It's been nice knowing you, Big Bob.
You're banned, but don't go anywhere. You're a special kind of ban where you don't really get banned unless you break some of our beautiful guidelines.
What are the guidelines, Christopher?
That's a great question. First of all, don't eat the paint. Isn't that... Chris can ban people? Yes, I can, Wad. This is about to get real... Yeah, it's about to get real quiet, chat. That's right, Wad. Oh, I turned on that air compressor for you and you're doing panels.
Yeah.
You like that segue, chat? Stay tuned. Yes, Doghouse, I will be mad with ban power. I'll ban you. Don't question it.
Yeah, if there's anybody who takes power to the extreme, it's Chris.
What?
I mean, hey, I got to call it like I see it, buddy.
Hey, speaking of that, thank you so much for those subs.
We gave Chris...
Whoopin' Kid, 25 months. Oh, 25 months? Thank you.
We gave Chris his own
you gave me a
alarm code and key to the building.
Before I was hired.
And before he was hired. And what does he do with it? He just stays whenever he wants. He just comes in on the weekends. He just works all the damn time. It's not allowable. It's very frustrating.
It's okay. I gave it back, and then I got it back again. It was a weird, beautiful cycle.
Well, that's true.
I gave it back, and then I got it.
And then he came to work here and got it back.
And then I got it back.
Is that why you came to work here? Because you missed your key privilege?
That's it. Yep. And I missed the band power potential. Darn late. Hey, never late than ever. Oh,
better Nate than lever.
Better.
Did you ever hear that one?
Better here than not. No, I haven't. What did you say?
The guy Nate who guards the lever that ends the world.
What?
There's a guy named Nathan at the end of the world, and there's a lever there at the end of the world, right?
Okay.
And the lever at the end of the world, if it mistakenly gets pulled, the world ends.
Okay. Better Nate than lever.
Right?
There you go.
And in a time of catastrophe, the brave Nathan sacrificed himself to save the lever from being pushed, and all humanity survived without even knowing that in this one fell swoop, one man, unknown to everybody, is the sole reason we're all here. And the moral of that story is that it's better Nate than lever.
That was pretty elegant. That was pretty good. Someone pull it, please. No, we won't do that. We don't have that kind of power. Yes. Chris should be banned. Should ban me for watching the stream like a sitcom. Yeah, we could do that. Ghost Hunter. Wrong lever, Crunk. That's funny. No, Philip, come back. We want you here. Philip said, can I be banned? And I said, yes. And then Philip says, thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
You know,
come back.
That doesn't, he says that all the damn time. It doesn't fill me with confidence, Phil.
Come back. We need you. We want you. Come back.
You're not really, that was the least convincing I've ever heard you be, Christopher.
And Jen says, we had a good run, Philip. There it is. Done.
Damn.
Great run, Phil.
Phil, here I am trying to say we need you, we love you, and the support network has completely left us in the dust, buddy. Got a place we can go? We can go to the beach, someplace. We can, like, collect palm fronds and make ashtrays. I'd be a great palm frond ashtray guy. Honolulu, here I come.
Philip says, shut up, Jason. Get out.
I'm
So
whoa.
Philip says.
I was being the nice one here.
No, Philip says, I appreciate you, Jason, but I said something different to get him really banned. We
Philip,
can go drink beers in the woods. Nice.
Philip, you should really, really think about who your friends are.
Oh, I'm done. I am done with everybody.
You
I am
are?
on the warpath.
You are?
I am on the warpath of
What
getting
happened?
rid of
What
everybody.
happened in medieval times,
Oh.
Christopher? Tell us about it.
Oh, chat. If you thought I was the villain before, I am on the warpath, is what Jason likes to say. The warpath! And I am taking everybody out. Can you press the fart button? Says Sir Blame. There we go. I'm just
That was a
kidding.
good one.
I'm kidding. I'm back.
That was a
I
good
got
one.
back in with the fart. Everybody's good.
That was a good one.
That's all
Did
it
he eat
takes.
too much Easter candy today? He ate too much yesterday and he's still on it, is the problem. Did you tune in on something very heated?
Oh, yeah, you did.
Very, very heated? What are you talking about, Super Duper John?
Yeah, we're never heated.
Was Chris talking?
We're so cool.
I tune it out.
Oh. He tunes it out.
I tune it out. He was on the wrong team at Medieval Times.
We were
His knightly sire.
we were
got-
on the villain team.
He lost.
We were on the villain team. Actually, it was kind of fun.
You guys lost. You
was
lost,
very
Chris.
close.
You voted for the bad guy and you lost.
We were so close. Oh, I did not eat all the peeps, Avian. Well, you know what?
What?
Welcome.
Hi.
Chat, we are painting up some white panels today.
Hi.
Last week we started up the white and how to paint white.
Hi.
And we're using this ghost keel as our example.
The keel
Here's
of
what
ghosts.
it looks like from the outside. Well, it's always from the outside, but more of a punch out. And then this is a punch in. A punch in and a punch out. And today we're doing panels because Jason wants to do them, I guess. You know? How to paint white. And you want to know, in other news, he flipped his palette paper, which really actually threw me off for a second because I'm like, what the heck is going on that screen? This is what's going on. Ah! It's too much. It's not colorful enough, Jason.
We'll remedy that, Chris.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. And take your time, Chris.
We can't
You
throw it
baby
out.
steps, Christopher.
We
Baby
have
steps.
A whole other
You got a
side.
phone? You got something?
You got a phone?
You got your phone with you?
I do. What's
Do
up?
you? I'm going to take a picture of the paint rack so I can show them. I need to show off this beautiful work.
Oh, I'll show the people.
Oh, you already took pictures.
I did.
There you go.
Check this out.
Well, here, give it to me and I'll put it on cam.
Oh, I'll put it right here in this cam.
Oh, here we go, chat. His face cam that he never uses for his gorgeous,
Hold on.
beautiful face. Instead, he holds up train whistles.
Yeah, here we go.
You got to make it the big cam. See, I can make it the big cam.
No, I don't want to make it the
Give me it to me then.
Look.
That's not gonna. They can't even see
Oh,
that.
There you go.
Give me that.
It's that one.
Give me this. Does this turn on its side? Does it have one of those things? Or if
No.
I hit it,
There you
what?
go.
What kind of crap is this?
There it is, chat.
All right, that's it.
I could.
Look what I did.
oh,
Can you deselect your face box?
Yeah, I can. Deselect my face.
Deselect your face, Chris.
There it is, chat.
Look at that, chat. Look at this beauty muss thing. We start with red at the top. We go through all the reds, all the reds, all the reds, all the reds into the oranges. Oh, God.
Here, let me
Well,
go to the
I got to
next
do
one
this
for
thing,
you.
and then I got to... How do you...
Right there.
Then we go through all the
There it
oranges
is. Perfect.
to the yellows. And then
that's
it's not
it.
really good the way this is because it doesn't let me kind of
No, it doesn't.
do the thing.
Great.
It's beautimous.
I
Beautimous,
can
chat.
show, I can't. I'll. You know, you think it would? It could be beneficial. Got a camera over there.
Beautimous, chat.
We'll figure out that. I could put like a little camera off to the side.
Beautimous.
But that means that I would have to keep everybody's. I would have to keep them really, really organized. Which actually,
I still want to know why your phone won't turn the picture on its side.
I actually don't know because I was surprised that it wouldn't do that for you.
When Chris texts you, it's in a green bubble.
Oh, it's my red flag.
Chris is a green bubble
It's
person.
a red flag. For
He's a green
people.
bubble person.
I'm a green bubbler.
Ostracized.
I know.
I get texts in the middle of the weekend or on a busy day, and it's green, and I just am like, pfft.
Oh, this guy. Well, at least you know who it is. You up?
You up?
You up?
What you doing, fam?
What you doing? Oh my gosh, I need that.
Setting auto rotate back to basics.
No,
Yeah,
this
right.
this is great because I now know. Now I can keep this place clean. Where'd you put your amp colors?
They're in there with all the rest of them because they're just pro acryl.
Oh, did you filled out everything?
It's all there.
Oh, you have a couple that are out.
I have fluorescent green, and the 2 brush-on primers don't fit, but the whole line is in there.
Oh.
A Wizard's Butt is not in there.
Whoa.
Not technically sellable colors.
Okay.
But every color in our line fits in there because that's
Nice.
144.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
So we're minus some.
I'll take some pictures, chat. I'll put those pictures in the Discord. How about that? So that you can all see. Because some people were asking, oh, I would like to see it. I'll think about it for you, chat. I'll do that for you.
You'll think about it.
No, I'll think about doing it. So I could be like, okay, I'm doing it. But then I have to decide, well, am I actually going to do it?
Oh, boy.
So there's a 2-step process. Source says, so that means you need to start selling these racks.
I should, just because the guy that I always turn you to on Etsy, you can't ever find him anymore. He like takes vacations and doesn't ship his stuff.
We got lucky.
Yeah, we did get lucky.
I
The problem is if we need to
tried
add another one,
look
we're
at
kind of
it.
screwed.
Yeah, that or yeah.
We could probably message him and see if he'll do one just for us. Like maybe that's a business that didn't really work out well for him or something. I don't know.
Maybe he's just like, I just can't afford to do it anymore. It's on Etsy Iterator. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I don't remember the guy's name.
It's like American something, U.S. rack something. That doesn't help you at all, but. How are you enjoying the? Uh-oh. What are you doing?
Well, Philip made a boo-boo.
A boo-boo?
I think so.
What do you mean a boo-boo?
There's like a towel guy down in there.
Oh,
but there's a flap that's supposed to close.
Did a guy come loose?
No, I can just see the hands down in there. The towel guy's hands. And there's a flap here that moves.
I zoomed in again.
There's a flap here that moves that covers all that up. That little flap there. But it won't close with his head in the way. So I think it's like a choice you have to make. Oh. Like maybe this thing folds up. Oh, it does! Holy hell!
Wait. What'd you do? Oh!
There's a dude in there.
There's a snake in my boot.
There's a snake in my boot.
Oh.
And see that then closes like that to protect him, and then the head goes down. And then you have the makings of not being able to see homeboy.
No, you didn't. Sugar Rush says you have to paint them.
It's not primed because Chris didn't prime it.
Oh.
It's just gray plastic.
Oh, guess what we have?
We have brush-on primer, so I guess that means that Jason gets to prime all this stuff.
Are you gonna really do that?
Yeah, why not? That's cool.
You're gonna prime them?
I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll brush prime him.
Really?
I mean, that's actually in an area where I think I can paint it and not really mess with anything that we've done up to this.
I guess my point is, I was gonna say just glue it.
Well, I could do that too.
Do you need to see the guy? That was more my point.
Well, you also didn't prime this part.
Oh.
Because it was folded up, so you didn't know it was there.
Oh, chat. But when you put the head down, okay, all right.
It's no sanguineous shoulder pad, but I mean, we were
sanguineous shoulder pad.
It's no sanguineous shoulder pad.
That's all right. Yes. Hey, chat. Speaking of brush-on primer, this is a great version, an example for brush-on primer. Here's a question. Derpstick asks, watch the non-metallic gold video on Antino El Tigre. Awesome. Would royal purple be a good substitute for dark purple?
I would. It's going to be way more purple, right? Can you do it? Sure. It will be a little bit.
Way more purple.
Way more purple.
It's gonna be a little bit way more purple.
Do you have anything else? Because you could use Payne's gray there. Dark blue.
Yeah.
I would recommend any of those darker colors first before the royal purple.
Yes, the royal purple is very, very rich.
I love it. Don't get me wrong.
It's great.
And it can look really good under gold. It just depends on if you're really trying to keep that look that I had, where that really gives you a dark contrast. The royal purple won't give you as dark a contrast. Because it's brighter.
Here's a question. Hey, Jason, could you give me some tips? Need more confidence in weathering and adding some battle damage to my minis. When I get to that step, I just find it difficult to place scratches.
Okay.
Scritches?
Scritches?
Scritches and scratches?
What's difficult? When you say it's difficult to figure out where to put them?
Or
That
how
kind of
much?
difficult? How many? Usually the issue becomes like how much to do, because it starts looking really good and I get carried away. Right?
Yeah.
So we talk about that a lot, is like, how do you control, how much is enough?
Yeah. Good point. How much is too much? Right? 'Cause
When
it's
enough is
super-
enough.
When it's super, super weathered, it starts to look a little
Yeah.
fakey.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
not real. The
Exactly.
scenario doesn't look real.
Exactly.
Speaking of purple, is there any word on the purple primer you keep teasing? Says our beautiful, beautiful chat. There was somebody else said that. I think up there. What's
As
the
far as
word?
like date, no, I don't have a date for you yet. Soonish. We just got done releasing the amp colors, so give us a little bit of time. We try not to release too many things right on the heels of one another. And we've still got the heavy-bodied acrylics coming, but they'll be very soon.
Before or after Bag Acryl? Definitely before
Definitely
Bag Acryl.
before Bag Acryl.
Yes.
Bag Acryl has not, as unfortunate as it was in the announcement, has not made it through the vetting process, the product production vetting process.
Bag Acryl?
It was never brought to my desk for approval.
You talking about Bag Acryl?
Was never brought to my desk for approval, Christopher.
Well, that's weird because it was on your desk to start with. So I don't get it.
No.
I don't. It does not compute.
So, Chris, you remember that stream where you admitted it was you on stream that
I
day?
didn't do that. I would never do that. Clip it, or if it didn't exist.
It's on the internet, Chris.
It's not. I edited it out. You'll never see. Oh, there's stuff happening in the background. I gotta cover my tracks. What is the thought process behind the heavy body says walking harder?
Gives you the basis to start with the pigment from its base, its raw form, that lets you get the most out of the paint. Period. Right. So if you think of all liquid paints as being somewhat diluted, that's not really the case, but it is from a system of thinking that the artist acrylics, or we call them expert acrylics for the heavy body paints, give you the pigment as close to its natural state. The only place you could go from there is just powder, right? And so it's going to give you tremendous intensity. Think of it as the difference between buying a concentrated soap and a liquid version of the same soap that's been diluted, right? The liquid soap cleans well, but the concentrated soap will clean everything better. And so it gives you the ability to get a paint to a glaze-ready state really quick without a whole lot of problem. Great for stuff like that. Great for doing all of your filters and blends. So it's basically the way that I have shown it used and talked about it, is that you would be able to paint your base layers on with standard Pro Acryl. And then for those that want, you can start playing around with a heavy body to do really, really cool layering on top of that. Is, I think, the best way to think of it. Now, we also painted a whole model with it, so there's nothing that precludes you from being able to just paint with the heavy bodies. But you spend a lot of time diluting them to get them to be base paints. So I'm not as big a fan of using them as base colors. Use the opacity of normal pro acrylic to give you your base coat colors, and then layer up, like when doing skin tones, layer up with skin tones over the top of that with the heavy bodies. If you want to go back and do any quick glazes or filters, they're great for that, because you can just take a brush load of water, put them in there, never worry about reducing your pigment load because they just have so much intensity.
They're so intense. And we're not talking about camping.
Somehow we turned into like the Bob Newhart show or something.
The Bob Newhart. Yep, that's it.
I don't even know what's going on around here, Chad.
Hey, speaking of not knowing what's going on, do you guys want to see something crazy?
That was a good segue.
Look at that palette. It's so clean because it just was flipped over.
I did just flip it over.
Why'd you do that?
What do you mean? Well, I was hoping it was clean on this. I was going to switch it out for a new piece. But when I flipped it over, I was like, oh, I've only used this for like these 2 things, so we'll just use that instead.
I'll start cleaning your glass for you every once in a while. How about that?
Oh my God!
Go back to glass.
Promises, promises.
I'll get you back. Do that for you.
These are the hardest things in the world for me to remember to do, Chad. It just doesn't happen.
Oh, what? The cleaning of your palette?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now it's just kind of an art piece now, though. It's very Art Deco.
That is also true.
So now I feel bad if I was to clean it, right? So I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place. Stuck in a rock.
Like, wait a minute.
Hard in a rock and a place.
What are people going to think if we actually have a clean palette?
So what if I clean it and then we're like, oh, I wish it was dirtier. I see then you can't go back.
Go back to the palette? Yep. That's why the palette paper is so nice, because we could be like, look how clean and organized we wish we were. Chris, did you tell everybody about the day where I screamed no when you were leaving, and I screamed for like 30 minutes?
I didn't, but it was very effective. I had to go. Then it was I didn't know how to handle it, chat. No!
Chris came in one night. We were the last ones here. And he came in and he goes, Jason, I'm getting ready to leave. And I started screaming, no! And I got up. I started screaming. I shut my computer off. I got up from my desk. I collected my keys. I grabbed my water bottle. I did everything I needed to do to walk past him, turn the light off in my office, and walked out into the parking lot still doing it without stopping for a breath.
It was a great breath.
Without stopping for a breath. And he was just shaking his head at me the whole time.
I didn't know what to do.
Just shaking his head at me, Chad.
Oh, man.
Welcome to Life at Monument Hobbies. You never know what you're going to get here, Christopher.
You never know what you're going to get.
It's like a box of chocolates. It's like a box of Forrest Gumps.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like a box of Gumps.
Hey, speaking of knowing how to deal with it, welcome in, everybody. Deal with it. We're painting. Great segue. It is 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we are doing some white paneling.
What do they got to deal with? They get the best end of this deal.
Deal with it, chat. Panels, 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 oh my, is what I've labeled this stream, because that's what we're doing. And you know what? It's all about the process. It's all about what you put into it, chat. That was my motto this weekend. It's about what you put into it. And don't overthink that. Let's not get too.
Hey, before you question it,
this is a rated PG.
Don't overthink
PG
that.
Stream. So
we're doing a bajillion freaking panel lines, chat.
You are, but they're going pretty fast, actually.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot of panels, but then there's like, maybe.
Well, the nice thing is, right, just being able to flatten out. Some of these are really tough to get to because the indentions are very shallow, so I got to be careful to get in there. But I'm making sure that I get the highlighted edges, even on darker panels like this, because that gives the impression of it being a little bit more of like a metal surface with dark reflection rather than being all in shadow, right? So like the side of the backpack thing here that I'm painting. So when you're doing something like white, being able to do the edges like all the way into the dark spots makes sense sometimes. It's a little fantastical, maybe comical, so to speak, not as realistic, but it gives you really good contrast. And with white or other really kind of, I will call them dull neutral colors, because white is a dull color. It's not something that really has a lot of pizzazz. You know, if you were to paint the same model yellow, totally different energy that it has. White needs to have you work a little harder to get that same impression built up. And so we do it with kind of exaggerating our contrast.
Yeah, and especially from this view, like obviously we're talking about it, the panels are super fine detail, but when you start looking at it from that 3-foot view, it looks like less of a gray suit and more like white armor.
Yeah, it starts pulling it together too, because since we did all this with airbrush, it starts to focus things in, defines your edges better, makes things look more crisp.
More clear, chat.
You'll see me just use these quick brush strokes to find an edge and then build up the color the way I need it. Yeah. It's tough because some of these doohickeys probably need to be like black. You can imagine them being some other form of material or color, make it more interesting. Like all these nodules or nodes or whatever are on here.
How do I paint War Machine minis? Says Panic Bomb. SFG got me with the War Machine digital thing.
Oh, to print them out? Are they doing that?
Oh, I don't know what that is. I know a War Machine.
I mean, you paint them with a brush.
Oh.
But with a brush, chat, with a brush. The same way we're painting these. There's no difference. You've seen me paint War Machine. Chat. If you want to learn color schemes, there's a whole world, but I don't know what they've done with War Machine. They gave us some models. We painted a few of them. I feel like the sculpts are a little lacking. Makes them tough to deal with. They get lost in the detailing on them. So I've had real trouble staying interested in them, unfortunately, because the sculpt will lose definition as you rotate around 3 dimensions of the model, which is a bummer. You know, like something will start on the head, and then as you twist it around, as it goes around to the neck, the detail just disappears, like the sculptor forgot to sculpt it.
Here's a question. Have you ever had the jitters? And if so, what do you suggest to get rid of them? By the way, I'm 50 years old, and I tend to get the jitters while painting.
Well, hey, welcome. I'm 55. Well, I'll be 55 in May. And I have not struggled with any type of functional jitters or something where my hand shakes, although it will happen from time to time. So here I am saying I've never suffered, and then I'm going to say it'll happen anyway. What happens to me, or what I've had to learn to do the most in my time as a painter, is I will grip the model too tight sometimes. Can you back out, Chris? Yeah. In the hand that I hold the model with, sometimes I'll tense my hand too much in order to hold like a small base, right? If I'm painting, whatever, here's a 40 millimeter base. And so if I'm holding this, right, my hand will start to cramp as I have it in this weird position to hold this base. And if I'm, fearful that it'll fall out of my hand, I'm gripping it tight, right? And this muscle here that runs your ring and pinky finger, right, and share that tendon or muscle grouping that goes up the forearm, that'll start to shake, and my hand will start to shake, and I have to remember to relax this, right, like this area of the palm out to my pinky finger. So if I just relax my hand, just hold the model in there loosely, that gets rid of 99% of what what plagues me. It's not my painting hand not being steady. This hand is, thank goodness, generally pretty steady. But my model holding hand will start to shake the model a little bit because I tense the muscles up and I grip it too tightly because I'm painting upside down and rotating it around. It's a small base and you're just trying to get your hand, not very ergonomic to hold these things. So a painting handle might help if that's plaguing you. We use corks. Right? So if you just take a cork, put it on there, this has a better way to hold because you can grip all the way around the circumference of the cork, right? And so it gives you a more positive grip, and then this just poster tacks onto the top, like here, right? So just poster tack on there and just put that down and twist and finagle it in there, moosh it on there. And now all of a sudden I can hold and paint this model without having to grip it very tight. I can really just let it rest in my hand like that, and I can paint and have it be a very good experience. My hand never cramps. So there's that. Now, on the other side, if you've got your model and your painting hand, like your brush control hand is shaking, I'm at a standing desk. So I've been painting at a standing desk for 9 years, over 9 years. And it's been the biggest life changer for me in painting miniatures as much as I do, because it allows me, number one, you can stretch your back. You don't get into that sitting in a chair where all of a sudden your spine is already in kind of a folded over position when you're sitting in a chair, and then you lean into the model. When I lean into the model, because I'm standing, I'm still not bending at my waist, I'm bending at my ankles. So I'm leaning my whole body forward into the table, and my spine and legs are still fairly straight, right? And then I've got all my weight on my forearm, right, which is laying on the table here. And same with my painting arm, is that my forearm lays across the table, and then the brush, when I hold it, I'm really only using the muscles from, not even really my wrist. It's literally just here in my hand is all I'm doing. So my whole forearm is very stabilized. And then in addition to that, so there's not a lot of, unless I just am, if my hand has kind of a shake from the wrist onward, but generally that is all inherent to your shoulder, elbow, and the whole musculature from your back and your arm that causes that problem. So maybe if you lie on, get a standing table or sit differently at your desk where you can lean forward, some of those chairs that don't have backs, like what you're sitting on, it's just like more of a stool. Chris?
Yeah.
Or the balance balls?
I have this because it keeps you straight.
Right. But that would allow you to lean forward from the waist and lean on your arms on a table too, which would be really good, because normal chairs don't do that. They have arms and they're just weird on how they work. But if you can rest your forearm flat on the table, then it helps take a lot of that stress away. And then when painting, use your carry hand, which you're holding the model with here, and then give yourself a steeple place, like my middle finger, right, where I can put my pinky and let that be leverage, and then the model itself for my ring finger. So I'm usually, if you watch me, I'm steepling my hand onto the model and even my thumb over here with my middle finger. So I've got 3 points of contact now. And then really what I'm painting with is I'm like a gun rest. The brush is laying on my middle finger, so it holds it where it needs to be. And I can adjust that with my thumb now, so I can move it up and down, but then the brush just stays where I want it to along the vertical. And then the forefinger and the thumb help push it into the model and move it around. But I'm not really painting with my thumb or my middle finger here. I'm just letting the brush rest there. And then I'm poking it forward, backwards with my thumb and forefinger. And this lever here with my middle finger and my thumb is what raises and lowers the brush as I need to go. So that's literally how I'm doing everything, and that helps give me a place of confidence, right, and secure positioning to where then I can rotate the model around to paint like the top of the shield here, but I have the same steepling going on the whole time. And then I'm really only ever painting with my thumb and my forefinger. Now, other people may do that differently. Some people might use your middle finger. If that's what you've grown up doing as a pencil, that's fine too. Then you'll use your ring finger as that stabilizer. But find a way with your hand to stabilize as much as possible so that really you're only moving the slightest amount with your forefinger and thumb, or whatever finger and thumb you're holding your brush with, and that's how you're doing 100% of your painting, really. You're never painting from your wrist. That causes you to have to put more strain on your shoulder and your elbow to balance while you're doing that. So you're always just painting from the knuckle, your middle knuckle, right, on your forefinger, and then the middle knuckle on your thumb. That's really the only place that you're pulling any of your brush strokes. Because remember, in miniature, we're very rarely doing anything more than like an inch long, so you don't need a whole lot of travel space. I talk about that a little bit in my How to Paint a Straight Line video.
The mo you know. Well, that was great.
Yeah, definitely. These are big things that you tend to not think about, the ergonomics of painting. It has to be comfortable first and foremost because you're getting into a very delicately balanced world where, you're hoping that you can do it for hours on end.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable, if you're rolling your shoulders forward, like when you're sitting in a chair and you're trying to sit up and you're trying to lean into the model and you got your shoulders rolled forward, there's a whole lot. Wow. Instantly when I did that, my neck started hurting.
Yeah.
Right. So painting like this doesn't do that. I don't have that problem at all. I can paint forever, basically.
Yeah. Speaking of forever, Tadpole Jackson, 6-month sub. Thank you.
What's going on? Thank you, Tadpole.
Oh, Papa Chicken. You said throw a sit earlier. The paint a suture. That is funny. Pro-a-sit got me. The Pro-a-sit stand desk. Sit-stand desk. I like this.
Yeah, not going to happen.
At Adepticon, Orkyfish says, I had an instructor that used foam to bring up their arms.
Could, yeah.
No?
If you can get something that elevates your arms while at a sitting position, if sitting is better for you, don't want to buy a standing desk, I totally understand.
Yeah.
That'll help. But you need something that allows that table surface to come closer to you. My desk is over like 49 inches high, right? So it's up at just,
it's higher than
it's like 4 inches higher than my navel.
Yeah, it's higher
Right?
than a normal sit stand. We have it really cranked up.
Yeah, it's supposed to be super high because you're not typing at it necessarily. As a matter of fact, I would undersling back in the day when we had the full stream run from this desk. I had a keyboard sling that was underneath that dropped the keyboard down so you could pull it out on a tray, and that was where it was comfortable to type because it let your shoulders hang to type on. But the desk is a good 6 to 8 inches higher than that, so that it really is like where I bend my elbows. Right? That seemed very robotic, but where I bend my elbows, I can walk forward and my arms are flat onto the table, which is super, super nice. Because it really does allow me to find a position for my hips. I'm constantly moving my legs around. I've got a standing mat that has all these weird shapes on it so that my feet and legs don't get uncomfortable when I stand for long periods of time. It just works really, really well.
Painting ergonomics. Right there for you, chat.
Everybody that we have suggested and really seen follow through with getting a standing desk has said the same thing. It's been life-changing for them and the ability to paint for long periods of time.
Yeah, especially if you're going to really do this hobby and stick with it. Your posture's everything, man.
Yeah, I found that having that neck pain and that upper back shoulder pain that you get from being hunched over painting for long periods is a game changer.
Yep.
Like, it will cause you to not enjoy your hobby at all. So if you can do anything to get rid of that, and that also plays a lot into things like handshakes and things of that nature, because all of your muscles are so stressed by your posture that it causes all sorts of problems.
Yeah, definitely will make a difference in the long term. Oh, Pento, thank you so much for that 2-month stream. It's 2-month stream. Whoa, I meant sub. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Mucho.
This is nice. This is nice and calm. It's the calm before the storm.
What storm?
It's coming. I don't know. This is the storm. We're manning through it right now. The panels. Sir Blame, I studied dentistry and we had an entire subject just about ergonomics and how to sit down correctly. Yes.
Oh, heck yeah. I can't imagine, right?
I
As
just
a dentist,
noticed-
again, where you're sitting and having to do...
My dentist had some really cool glasses where she could look forward, right? And then have it be looking down at me. I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before, right?
Oh, like periscope lens.
Yes, so that she wasn't looking down, she was looking straight forward and just sitting up, but then working that way. I'm
Yeah,
like,
she
wow,
just had like the angled mirrors in it. That's
Thor's
a good idea.
Thor's Paws asking Jason, when is the next 24-hour stream?
Well, I mean, I've been voting for it for years now, but Christopher won't allow it to happen.
Voting for it?
He's just mean.
Where are these votes cast?
He's mean.
Bring the proof.
He's mean.
When was the last time you did a 24-hour stream?
I don't know that we've ever done a 24-hour stream painting. I know the last
Painting
one
would
that I
be-
did,
Painting is tough.
the last one I remember doing was the closest I ever got was the New Year's 2015.
Okay.
It was right before I met Jen, believe it or not.
Wow.
Jen and I's first date was at the end of January, and in the New Year's 2014 to 15, I did an all-nighter.
Yep.
Where it was probably 18 hours or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where as soon as it was the first New Year's on the globe, I did a shot of whiskey.
Oh, wow.
And then I did a shot of whiskey and a shot of whiskey and a shot of whiskey for every time zone that we had people in chat for.
Wow.
And eventually I blacked out. So that was a horrible night.
And now we're here.
Horrible night. I think that was the last time I got alcohol sick.
I don't think
it's horrible.
Doing a 24-hour stream with that would.
I don't think so.
Last.
I know we've done some really long ones before. Like back in the day when we first started the painting stream, we did it for 8 hours every day, 5 days a week. I did 40 hours of painting for the first, probably 2 years of the stream. We've been doing this for over 9 years. And I feel like for the first 2 years, we did nearly 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. Sometimes more days. Like sometimes on the weekend, we would do it too.
That's a long one.
And then when we started becoming a manufacturer, then those hours started dwindling because I had to go do the manufacturing work, ship out orders, things like that. But we also didn't start the stream until like sometimes 5 o'clock our time. So I would go from like
24-hour stream painting would be tough.
Yeah.
Like I think it'd be fun, but like the actual, obviously you'd have to have people like cycling, but I don't know if I could physically paint for 24 hours. I mean, that also means standing for 24 hours and all that too.
Walking Harder says, I find 24-hour painting streams are really fun because about halfway through you start to lose steam and it's no longer is fun. That makes that's a very, very how to put it, masochistic view of that whole situation. 24-hour group stream and chat. Just invite someone to paint along and swap folks out. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Like a marathon stream kind of a thing. Like a telethon where
people would hop in.
Yeah.
We actually could do that quite easily.
It's funny how when I look at this sometimes on here, there's a point where it kind of just looks like it's the built model in the gray plastic and is shiny.
Well,
have you found that?
Yeah. I was looking at it the other day. I'm like, huh. It looks primed.
We've done such a good job of getting the gradients on the colors to be so well done that now, like on this view right here, this just kind of looks like the shiny gray sprue plastic up in this area where I've done all the line work. You can tell with the head it isn't, and we've got overspray and stuff. So there's definitely things that show us that that's not the case. But it's funny to look at. Every now and then I look at it and I go, did I paint this or not?
Yeah, the co-streaming would be fun. Or having guests come in.
Yeah, we've done long streams in the past. We've had like my birthday stream. We had like Tom from the Infinity Guys came in.
Yeah, the comic book one.
Well, the comic book stream was like 6 hours or something. Where we did
I was not here for that one.
The comic book valuation for my comic collection when we found that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun just because we were having fun with the books and chat. We were whipping books out because I hadn't seen those books in years.
Right.
It's funny because I took one of the Hulk 181s and I think we mentioned one of the Spider-Man, whatever it is, 292s or whatever, to Adepticon for Dallas from AMG.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I remembered you were saying that. Yeah, it was pretty wild, awkwardish, that comic book stream.
It's funny because my dad, being a comic collector back in the years when all those key comics came about, is great.
I mean,
the
fact that he kept them and you kept them in the condition, I mean, just...
Well, that was all me. He was...
Right.
He had them in a box in a Texas attic.
Sure.
But
you just sleeved half of them, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them were just moved into air conditioning. That's all that we did.
Yep.
Did we ever tell chat about the quote unquote offer we got for the comics?
Oh, yes, you did.
Did we?
I remember you had a. Oh, yes, we did. You got a ridiculous offer, and when I mean ridiculous, I mean as there was just someone who was just trying to
So dumb.
wheel and deal.
Just so dumb.
Dumb wheel and deal.
Chad, if you're around for that comic book thing, to let you know how some people in the world are, how some companies are, especially in industries like that where they buy collectibles. You've probably seen it on like, the Pawn Stars type thing where, they're just slimy, taking advantage of somebody that they think doesn't know or needs money quick.
Yeah.
It showed me a lot about the Phoenix collectors world, that there's a lot of collectors who just need to pay bills and unfortunately have cool stuff and go into the comic stores, because Gabe and Jordan took in my comic collection.
Right.
The one group of books that were worth 80% of the collection, which is like a half long box, right?
That
is 80% of the value of that whole collection, right? Because that's the way it is. A lot of it's chaff, still neat stuff, still worth more than the cover price, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But when you talk about comics that are worth big bang for a single book, there was like a half of a long box crammed with books that they took over there. And he looked through them real quick and talked about them and did this hemming and hawing and stuff, and came back and says, yeah, I can offer you 35.
Yeah.
And we were thinking 35,000, and I would have almost thought about it.
Sure.
Because of how easy it would have been to just let the whole thing go and be out of my hair.
Yeah.
He meant $3,500.
Yeah, he was.
Any of you that are out there in chat that remember this stream where we went through all of my comics, there are a tremendous amount of books in there worth more than $3,500 by themselves.
Yeah.
And those are the books we took over there, including X-Men #1, the giant size X-Men #1, and 2 Hulk 181s, where one of them was at least an 8 graded, or an 8.5, and the other one probably a 5.5 or a 6. Yeah. But both of them, and together those two are worth over double what he offered for the whole collection.
Yeah,
at easy pricing, not at retail pricing. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, he was just a
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Wasn't a
awkward. That was the joke that time was. Can we has Porsche?
Can we has?
I think that's what Gabe put on the street. Can we has Porsche?
Yeah, that was not here for that day. I don't know where.
That was a fun day. Jordan, me, I think Shelby was here for a bit. That was a good stream. But those are like the last of the long streams that we've done. We would have to
really plan it out, and we'd have to make an event of it if we're going to do a 24-hour stream.
Yeah, one of the big things is that with all the work Chris has done to make this studio amazing, it makes it almost impossible to run as an individual.
Yeah.
And that would be something where I would have to be alone for part of it, because I couldn't possibly ask everybody to stay here for 24 hours.
If you were like, yo, we need to do this, I'm here on the boat. I'm saying I would do it, but I feel like if we're going to do a 24-hour stream,
we got to plan that really well.
It's a big event. We could do maybe like a giveaway towards the, like maybe 2 giveaways, like at the top of the 12-hour and then one at the end, right?
Yeah.
And then
it'd have to be something fun, something where we had
artists
planned it ahead of time.
to come in, like via the where I can invite people into the studio room.
Oh yeah.
Not here physically, but somebody who's across the world, right? Because if we're doing a 24-hour stream, we could hit a lot of world time.
Yeah.
Right. Could do the signature artists who could come in and paint with you and stuff like that. We'd have to make an event of it to make
like
it really...
like the signature artist stream we did where everybody came in, and that was a lot of fun. People really enjoyed that.
Something like that, and maybe do more of a one-on-one and fill the hour, right? And then if anybody here wants to paint, maybe we get Baby J to come in, but I could do it. I would have to pace myself. But
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot because you don't think about it until you're in the middle of it. That you got to plan out food, you got to eat, you got to take care of yourself, you got to breaks,
runner, right?
Yeah, you got to have somebody going and getting food.
We couldn't expect somebody to stand there for 24 hours.
No.
Like it's just
it's funny because a guy that I knew, he went by Poshy Bird, and back when I streamed World of Tanks, I don't know if anybody exists from that day on stream, but Poshy Bird was a very loud and boisterous streamer who was part of the wargaming team. He streamed with us doing World of Tanks. I say streamed with us. We all had our own channels, but we all followed one another and rated one another, and it was a big group. Mountain Man, me, Poshy Bird, Blue Steel, all of these original World of Tank streamers. And Poshy Bird did a 24-hour and died.
Oh, what?
Died. Got up from he played.
What?
He played in like a lazy boy chair at his computer,
died?
and he got up from his lazy boy after sitting for what must have been 10 hours straight without getting up. He just had like a whiskey and he smokes at his chair, but he went outside. He didn't smoke at his chair. He went outside to smoke for smoke breaks. And he had sat there for like close on 10 hours and he got up to go outside and smoke and never came back. And the stream just went on and on and on and on and on and on and on until I think Twitch shut it down, or when they showed up because of the neighbors calling, they turned it all off. Yeah, he got up and he never came back because he went up to smoke and he had a heart attack when he got up. He had been sitting for so long.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he died. It sucks, dude. It sucks. I had just spoken to him. I was on his stream that time in that stream because he was doing a big charity drive for a local thing. He was American.
Wow.
And he was doing a big charity drive, and he was one of those guys that when you watched him, he might not float your boat because he was pretty brash and cursed, and he was like a grumbly old sailor, and he was a little hard to get along with in that regard.
Wow.
But he was really super good guy behind the scenes. We had some great conversations and all that, and then I remember that stream being on and platooning with him and having some fun. And then going away and then finding out the next day that
he died.
Passed away. Yeah.
Dude,
it's crazy.
That is cool.
Are there enough monumentals to cover the globe? Yes, 100%.
That's wild to me.
Porky Fish Meat, you remember hearing about this? Yeah. Yep. Poshy is no longer with us, and that sucks. That just shows you, right? You got to take care of yourself during that thing. So 24-hour streams, you got to forget, man. Got to move.
Sleep deprivation of any kind is not good for you, but
and you got to move.
You got to move. You got to.
You're not sitting there and like not hydrating, not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Smoking. Not eating.
The whole. Yeah, you gotta.
That was like the pure horrible cocktail of what not to do.
Yep.
At that point.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I don't like long streams anymore.
Well, now we gotta rethink this, chat. Jason will go home to sleep and we'll come back in the morning. That's crazy, dude.
Well, I love the idea of like
we could do
like what do they call it? They used to call them sleep-ins, or lock-ins.
Lock-ins.
You go to like your church lock-in, right?
Yeah.
And you'd have a lock-in, and I think that's a great idea. We'd have a lock-in here, and we'd have a 24-hour streamathon with a lock-in, where we would just have cots or the comfy chairs, and we would have to do funny stuff like totally show people crashed out, like on the couch in the break room.
You'd have to go take a nap.
We'd have to have a camera that we could stream live from, like either on the phone
or we could
like a wireless rig.
You could do that pretty easily, actually, because the building, even over there are things that could totally make.
That would be totally fun, because then we could have lots of fun with it, and if we had enough people bought into it, then obviously people could sleep and whatever. We'd all smell like hell by the time it was done. But no showers here, folks.
Not yet.
But yeah, we could have food brought in, and I'm sure that would be a lot of fun. We could have like people bring us meals. We could have like Shannon.
Yeah, we would. Like I said, we'd have to plan it out, chat. Not impossible, but we have to have a really good mission for it. Otherwise, we all just will be tired, even for work and the weekend. Like, it'd have to have some kind of objective.
It'd have to be like for a major product release or something where we could have a lot of fun with it.
We could, yeah. I think I also think getting some more people onto stream is something that we're definitely could explore. Maybe a more specialized one every once in a while. That wouldn't be too bad, We had Dallas on. Dallas is going to come back at some point. We're going to plan that out.
Yep.
We could totally have the signature guys come back as well, or Louise. We could figure it out, chat.
Yeah, that whole team really loved being on the stream, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And now with what we have now, it'd be way easier just to get it done and have it done. Click on a link and hop in. That's all it takes now.
Holy moly, chat.
How you doing over there? Looking good.
This is a lot.
The plaid paint release. What are you talking about, Recap?
plaid paint.
We could do it.
The plaid paint release.
We could do it. Technically.
There's nothing we can't do, chat.
Technically, we could do a plaid painting stream. Technically. Now, how good it would look, that's a debatable thing. We could do a plaid painting stream. It would look horrible.
Wait, are you saying I can't paint plaid?
You can't paint plaid the way I'm talking about.
Oh, green screen in it, you mean?
I don't know what you're talking about, Jason. Question mark, exclamation mark.
Well, I tell everybody on that commercial that we green screened it, Chris. So,
Jason.
well, because everybody comes in loudmouthing that
Jason.
an art company using AI, and I'm like, oh, you guys are idiots.
We are old school.
That's what I say. I say we're old school fakers. We use green screen.
Yeah.
I say we use green chroma key.
We're old school.
The community always comes to our defense. It's really funny. But yeah, that commercial always gets one or two people every time it runs again that come in and go, oh, great, an art company that uses AI. Why would I buy from you?
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, come on, dude.
Get over it.
Come on, dude.
You're dumb. We could paint plaid. And when I mean paint plaid, I mean picking bright green and putting it on the model.
I mean, I could legit paint plaid.
You could. I'm talking about my version of plaid. Because we could chroma key it. We'll do it like the news does. No, we would not paint me plaid. I'm not doing a face painting stream. I won't do it, Papa Chicken. Much dignity. Ah!
This man says he respects your opinions, chat, and yet doesn't really take them into consideration very often, does he?
Sausage, yes, this is a ghost keel. We are painting white over the last day, essentially. This is the second day.
Second day. Yeah,
Friday,
we got pretty much through all of what I wanted to show you for getting the armor base done.
And now we're doing it from a...
Now we're going through and doing all the panel lining and stuff, and we still want to paint the model and all that. But.
Right. Derfstick, do you guys know about the nail stamping thing that Brett from Goobertown Hobbies has?
What do you want to know?
It's a nail stamp.
Yeah, it's a fingernail stamp.
It's the same concept.
The stuff you can get on like Alibaba for the silicone press.
Mm-hmm.
It's called pad printing. It's a technique that's been around forever. It's how we used to do the labels on our brushes. We don't do that anymore. We use printers, UV printers now. But yeah, pad printer just takes a flexible surface, dips it in ink, and then hits the surface and imprints. They use fingernail polish.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
It's a solvent-based ink for like fingernail polish.
Mm-hmm.
We were working on the same exact concept with one of the monumentals named Skelleby. I don't know if you know Skelleby.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, we
really?
started working on the exact same thing, and I still have all of the samples around here. We couldn't go through with it. She brought it forward to us and asked if we could help her prove it out to manufacture if it worked. And my whole goal was I would only do it if it was water-based. I didn't want to use a solvent-based. I didn't want to use a fingernail polish.
Yeah,
because it's flammable. It's all
toxic.
sorts of hazardous stuff, so I didn't want to have the toxic product. So, and it just doesn't work very well on curved surfaces, which is so much of what we deal with: banners, shoulder pads on Space Marines, stuff like that. It just was not. It was a little too smudgy for me. A little bit not. I could get it to work, but the problem for us as Monument Hobbies is it's a big customer service conversation, because it's asking people to have to learn a process to get it done correctly. And it would generate, out of that, anytime you create something like that where you need people to understand how to make things work, then there's going to be a lot of customer service questions. And it's just not what we're built for. Our customer service is really, really minimal because none of our products really have issues.
Well, and it's paint. There's not like, hey, my thumb print thing is not working. Can you explain? Yeah, it's too complicated.
Yeah, the silicone surface wear is weird, and where to buy them and all that. So I ultimately said no, but Brent and them have come out with it and have some really neat stuff. The power of it is in the printing plates, the image plates that they have with all the really cool images. I think that's great.
Yeah.
So
those are cool.
Yeah, if you can buy those images and then you go to Sephora or I don't know cosmetic places, but you go to some place that has 50 million colors of fingernail polish, and all of a sudden you can do wonders with it. Because when you use the fingernail polish, it works like a champ. When you use water-based products, it doesn't work very well. But yeah, I spoke to Brent at Adepticon at length about it.
Oh, nice.
Because he knew that he had heard that we had done the same thing or worked on the same thing, and just wanted to understand why
it's a cool
we
concept.
decided not to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool concept. Just, not our mission.
Nope.
Hey, but if it works for you, do what you need to do.
They had some fun models at the booth that they were using. It was really cool.
Now, it works pretty good on flat, like, tanks. That was kind of cool. I saw a couple of
the
those.
side and tops of tanks
like
and stuff, 100%.
panels.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it's a very proven technique for getting that imprint. I mean, they use it on nails. Mm-hmm. Nails are a curved surface.
Yep.
So it works great.
They're
but
like
again,
little shoulder pads.
You just have to use the enamels or the lacquers.
So where are you at now, Jason, with this model?
I'm in that, like, what all needs to actually have white outlines on it part, right? Because we've gotten from this angle, we've got quite a bit. So we got to move over to the dark side, which we did some of to show off how doing the white panel lines in the dark areas is just as important, right? So right now, but now I'm looking at things like this gun housing on his shoulder and being like, okay, well, what needs to be white? Because I'm starting to envision what is going to be like a gunmetal metallic that we're going to create a bunch of contrast on this guy with too, right?
Right.
So now we're having to make some decisions because we're getting to the minutia, the detail minutia of this guy. And what?
The details.
The details. So,
Did you look at conference room tables today?
I bought one.
Oh, nice.
I got us a conference room table and 10 chairs.
Nice.
For like a steel. He had a used one. So I was like, yeah, I'm not proud.
Are they
Give us the used one.
Huh? They're delivering it?
Yeah, they'll deliver it like Wednesday or Thursday,
nice.
He said. It's a cherry color, so it's a natural wood color.
Oh, cool.
Not gray. So we may have to look at
nice.
The wall color in there, but shouldn't be a big deal. We had to get a new conference table, chat.
How many panel lines to go, Chris? I don't know. I will get a panel line countdowner. Down counter, line countdown, count down, down counter, line. Help.
Help. Send help.
Help.
Send help, chat.
Jason, does the conference room table come with free bubble gum on the bottom?
That I don't know. I don't know if we had to pay extra for that. He worked me a hell of a deal, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out.
Did someone powerbomb Chris through the old one? I don't know. Today I'm a little fuzzy today.
Tied one on at medieval times over the weekend, so we're dealing with that. The aftermath of medieval times.
I'm not talking about that. I've been using my noodle this morning, trying to.
Freaking Gabe shaved. It's like cats and dogs living together. Don't know what's going on. All right. Yeah, so I knew he did some work over here, but we need to do this gun on this side too. Whatever this
How's the panel lining supercut coming along, Chris? Oh, it's coming. It's happening right in front of you, Alex. It's happening right now. Philip says I'm going to shave my head tonight to mess with Jason.
I am going to quit. If all of you gang up on me and come in with...
I ain't shaving my head.
Got your beards and mustaches gone and everybody's baby-faced.
I ain't doing that.
Like, I'm walking through the office and Gabe does not look like Gabe. It is disturbing. It is disturbing how little he looks like himself.
That's funny. No, I ain't shaving.
I'm like, I don't know. I keep catching him out of the corner of my eye going, I don't know this person. I pulled him aside and I said, I'm not trying to be mean, but you literally don't look like yourself. It makes me wonder if I shaved my beard off, if anyone would recognize me.
When was the last time you shaved your beard off? Fully shaved off, not for years probably, right? Like fully shaved your beard off. Or have a picture to show. I don't even remember. Years ago.
I mean...
Years, literal years.
Right? Yeah, not since...
You sported the facial hair probably most of your life.
It's been decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, decades. Because I don't think I've cut the beard. I mean, I've shaved it down to where it was almost nothing there, like, 5 o'clock stubble a couple of times. But
well, yeah.
But it was still
full.
No, I've never close shaved. It's been so long. That's a tough question. I can't even remember. Gosh, yeah, it's a long time. Maybe since very early 2000s.
Jason might do it tomorrow.
No,
I remember when Kyle did.
Yeah, you guys are all fruits.
Oh my god!
I don't understand that, man. I get so used to things and expect them to be that way, and then you guys show up and you've got like this baby face going on. Kyle showed up and I'm like, no, you gotta go.
Oh no,
you gotta go. You're not allowed back to work until you have your beard back.
I do not shave often.
That's so rough.
Oh man. Yeah, I do not shave often, chat. Every once in a while I'll get the itch, I guess, ? But it's not often. Not anymore.
I was like, Gabe, you can't be having a midlife crisis already, buddy. What was it, like his 27th birthday?
I think so.
26th? He's like 26 or 27.
Gabe, how old are you? I forget. I think it's 26.
He's too young to be thinking he needs to shave to look younger. I've had lots of buddies that when they get to like hitting 30,
yeah,
and then again at 40, they'll do stuff like that.
They'll shave.
Like shave, or like me, like if I were to go get the beard dye.
Oh yeah.
I've
seen
and
that.
do the beard dye. I did a stream thing once where I did the beard dye.
You did?
Yeah, but when you have gray, it just doesn't work. When it's all gray like mine, it just doesn't work real well. You think about it like in terms of mixing color. You get brown mixed with gray, and it just turns into this weird muddy. It became darker.
Yeah,
but it didn't.
Did you use brown or black or a mixture? Or
I think it was just like very dark brown.
Dark brown, okay.
But when you put it with the gray, it became like this weird brown gray. And when you put it in there, it was like, well, that didn't knock years off. That knocked like months off. Yeah. It doesn't look like what I was going for.
Yeah, Spaznat. My top lip essentially is my mustache.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to act without a beard anymore. It's like one of my nightmares. Like, what if all of a sudden I couldn't grow facial hair anymore? What would I do? What would I become? Would everybody disown me?
What would I become? I don't know.
It does. It sounds like a Disney theme song, like a Samson losing his hair.
Hey, here's a question.
Would I be able to paint still?
I don't think so.
I think it'd be gone.
Essentially about the workup here. Remind the viewers what this workup is.
We started with dark navy blue.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went into slate gray and cool gray, right?
Yep.
And that got us our base for our white.
Yep.
Then we went in. Did we use bright neutral gray at all? I feel like we used bright neutral gray a little bit, and then we went into transparent white.
I'm trying to remember.
So it's basically using all of those cool colors. You can see the dark navy blue in the shadows, right?
Very cool.
And then all of the slate gray, cool gray coming out of that gives us the transition into brighter colors. And then we don't use any white except here, a little bit of transparent white, and then the bold titanium white to do all the edges, because that's, you know, the whole key to painting white is not using white. And it sounds silly when we say it out loud, but the reality is you can't go brighter than white. So if you paint the model white, what do you highlight it with? You could paint it white and then put a dark wash on it, like a dark brown gray wash or black wash or something like that. And then that pulls all your whites into grays, and then go back and edge it. But and maybe if you're painting super, super fast stormtroopers, that would work. But when you really want to get a quick job done and have it look good, because remember, we did this whole thing in a day. Other than the panel lining has taken forever, right? Mm-hmm. But getting the color on there, the most part, was just 2 hours. And even on a big model. And so you can do that, and then it's really just the amount of time you want to do the edge detailing, pulls it all into being brighter. And then once the edge detailing is done, we'll go back with a transparent white and brighten up the spots again. And the transparent white will not overtake the edge details. So we won't have to redo them like we would if it was some other color and we were doing a filter. So that's how we can brighten it up even more. If you think this is too gray or it doesn't get as bright white as you were looking for, we're going to weather this guy. So as we go through the weathering stages, we'll darken it up anyway. But I like for, you know, this still will appear white next to any model that you put it next to, right? Because it's just the brightest color that you're going to paint with. And so you'll get it to read whatever grayish white. You could have done this with browns underneath, and it could have been a creamy kind of white, like almost a parchment white. Blues, you know, more stark blues. Any color you can imagine you can base for white. And then you just go up to the closest version of that color before you get to pure white. Use white as an edge highlight, and you're done. Mm-hmm. Blues and grays keep things looking pretty crisp, so it's nice. When you do the grayscale first, do you thin them down to keep all the grayscale effects, Sausage? I didn't thin any of these colors except for the bright neutral gray. Mm-hmm. The final bright gray that we put on, I thinned. Anytime I'm doing the brightest colors, I typically thin them about, we were thinning around 6-to-1 thinner to paint, just so that you don't get the speckling. You're always, because of the way the airbrush atomizes paint, it always paints in dots. That's why it looks fuzzy. The more, when you jump to that high contrast color, your brightest color, that can give you kind of a speckly look. So I thin there, just to avoid any of that happening. But yeah, if you want to punch in super close, give me a super zoom. You can see that we have zero speckling, and I painted all of this without any thinning.
Yep.
Right? Just the airbrush, straight, colors straight out of the bottle, no thinning, except for the brightest gray, and then we didn't even thin the transparent white. So, you know, you get a really good effect that gives you smooth transitions without having to thin to get them. But that's really a pro acryl thing, right? That's what we pride ourselves on, is that our paint just works right out of the bottle. With other, if you're using other colors, then yeah, like in my past, I would say yes, you need to be thinning. You know, at least 50-50 for most brands out there to get them to flow through the airbrush in a way that maintains the blend and doesn't overtake. Because if you're not careful, you wind up with no blend at all, because each color just fully covers the next. So some people like the confidence builder that painting thin does, because it lets you build up to that point. It doesn't just immediately cover it. I like getting stuff done quick, so I don't thin at all. But that's kind of a up to you type thing.
Papa Chicken's asking, my transparent white is way thicker than any of my other paints. Is that just a property of, I think, zinc pigment?
Zinc pigment, yes. If you let it sit for long periods of time without reconstituting it and shaking it, it can get thick. Obviously, if you leave it open, it will thicken quicker. If you've got a problem where it's unusable, let support know and they'll get you handled.
What size, which brush is this that you're using?
This is a Dauntless #1.
You normally would say you use like a 2, 4, and a 6 a lot of the time, right?
Yep. With the Dauntless brushes, they come in a 1, a 3, and a 5.
Odd numbers.
Yeah, we did that just because we don't have those colors in the other brush sets.
Ghost Hunter's asking, can you kind of thin by backing up the airbrush and get a wider cone?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see me do that all the time. I say, anytime we want to just do a little bit more of a light filter of a color, not have it have such an opaque impact or vibrant impact on the model, step the airbrush back from the surface. I say you stay like 2 to 4 inches away when you want to get opacity. You back up 6 to 8 inches away from the surface when you want to start filtering. And that's with the same paint in there. Now, if you thin your paint down, then you can get close and filter too. So,
Orky Fish has a good question. What about mixing metallic paints with non-metallic techniques, like using a metallic, then adding a bit of non-metallic to control the story?
100%. Yeah, that's how we show the best ways of painting metallic paints, is to start with an undertone of something that isn't metallic. This guy that I held up just randomly earlier is a great way to do that. This guy started out with our rust technique, where we use like burnt sienna, yellow ochre, burnt orange, and then dry brush the metallic over the top. But if you super zoom in on this guy, right, you'll notice that he's got all of this really cool kind of rusty yellow tarnish that's underneath. That's all done with just regular paint. And then the dry brush of the steel, the dark silver over the top of that is what really, drives it home as being a metallic. So that's a way to do that. Now, you could also come and highlight this with everything up to and including white if you wanted to. Yeah. I think that highlighting with bright metallics, like silver or even white gold, is a better way to do that, because it retains the reflectiveness of the paint, whereas our normal Procryl paints are matte finish. So if you were to use them as a highlight, it's not going to actually shine in the light, which when you use metallic paints and non-metallic paints, and you use them in the room, the reflectiveness of the non-metallic paint will offset the matte nature of our paints. So that's why we have things like the heavy-bodied white, right? The heavy titanium white. It has a satin finish, so you can use it as a highlight, and it still shines in the light, so it'll keep up with the metal. So there are ways to do it for sure. But I base a lot of my metallics with just normal colors, like green, browns, stuff like that. I'm trying to see if there's anything around here that we did that with here recently, but I don't think so. Yeah, but never be afraid to use non-metallic paints with metallics.
What size needle to use paint straight out of the bottle? Use a size
0.3,
right?
Yeah, 0.3.
What a clean looking palette. Wow.
It is so nice.
Wow. Kendrick White saying, I was trying to panel line a Chaos Space Marine Terminator with a mix of transparent purple and the magenta wash and flow improver, but it wasn't really flowing, so I had to trace.
You had to trace? I don't understand.
Yeah, you maybe explain that a little bit more, Kendrick. I had to trace.
Don't know that I understand what that means.
What would you suggest for that type of panel line? Yeah, Kendrick, maybe clarify your example there, or what you're looking for through the airbrush. Jason doesn't use any flow improver, except for maybe glaze and wash.
Our glaze wash medium acts as a flow improver. Yeah. It has the same qualities as a flow improver, but it does a lot more too. So
I don't want to say most of the time, but a lot of the time you're just right out of the bottle.
Straight out of the bottle.
Unless you're making a filter.
Yeah.
Like a glaze filter?
Yeah, so the way that I airbrush, just to break it down into like simple terms, is for my base coat, and usually, okay, so let's say I'm using 4 colors. Let's say I'm using a base coat, which is a dark shadow color. I'm then putting a next step up color on that, and then I'm doing my main body mid-tone, and then I'm doing a highlight, right? Let's say that's my airbrush steps. Let's just say it's 3, right? So I do base coat, mid-tone, highlight, right? Let's just keep it simple. So my base tone I spray straight out of the bottle because I want vibrancy and full coverage, and I want it quick, so I don't thin it at all. The same with the mid-tone. I'll spray it right out of the bottle because I want vibrancy, I want it to cover, and then I just feather. I pull back further from the model when I go down into the shadows so that I leave a little bit more of my shadow color showing. The base color, or the mid-tone color, can then feather over it, and I get my blend that way, so I don't have to worry about any kind of filter. The highlight I treat as a filter, and I thin at minimum half and half, right? 1 to 1. But generally, like you saw on this white, if you go back and watch the VOD, I did it 6 to 1. So I think I did like 3 or 4 drops of paint and 24 drops of glazed wash medium, right? And that got us a really, really transparent filter that allows me to build the highlight up so I can control it and use it as a blending agent, because it'll go back over both the base and the mid-tone as I want. And if it's really thin, I can alter and push them brighter as I need to in specific areas. So I typically thin when I want more control over how the paint affects everything underneath it, right? Because when you just go straight out of the bottle, it's going to blast paint on there, right? And you're going to get that color. And that's great for base colors and midtones. And sometimes if you're doing like 6 color workup on a finely detailed model, something you're really spending a ton of time with, sometimes you can get away with that with more colors, right? A lot of that just has to do with how much surface area are you looking to cover, how good are you at fine detail, close in work and stuff like that. But so I painted this guy out of the 4 colors that we did on him on the airbrush. 3 of them were done with no thinning, and 1 of them was thinned. Just the bright gray was thinned. The transparent white didn't have to be thinned. It's kind of the final highlight. It didn't have to be thinned because it's transparent white. It's a zinc white. You can see through it already, so you don't have to thin it for opacity. But generally when I'm thinning, even just for airbrush, I'm thinning only so that I can see through the paint more. Only thin for opacity with Pro Acryl. You don't have to thin for viscosity unless you're looking to do something like turn it into a wash, right? That's the only time our paints need to be more fluid.
Okay.
Dish soap flap sack. Yeah, well, I mean, that's really an oil, right? They're using oils and enamels and stuff that have a kind of a surfactant to them that allows them to flow better anyway. Acrylic with Noosh will do that same thing. If you take Noosh, load in a bunch of color into it, thin it way down with some water, and then tap it, it will bleed along those panel lines. Not quite as quickly and as far as an oil or an enamel will, like the Tamiya panel liners, or enamels, I believe. Water-based products never will, right? Because the water tends to want to bead and pull together, has a higher surface tension, so it doesn't want to flow as easily. You have to break that. So you're having to use paints that don't use water as I almost said emulsifier, as a solvent, right?
Here's a clarified one, Jason.
Pseudo oil wash that would flow. Yeah, like what we were talking about with flap sack. Yeah, so you wouldn't have to trace the panel lines with the brush, yeah. Like I said, our Noosh will do it, but because it is still a water-based product, no water-based product will ever flow as well no matter what you put into it, because you always have water as a solvent, right? And the water is always, you can put oily-based products in, the petroleum-based products in there that want to make it slide around the surface. You still have water in there, and the water is the large part that's carrying the pigment around. So if you put it with too much flow improver or too much dish soap, you've now diluted it to where you're not getting enough pigment. So once you get it to start, a water-based product, when you start getting it to flow correctly, it doesn't leave any pigment behind. So it's all for naught. You get slight coloring, not that heavy dark that you want. So things like inks, our transparents work really, really well for this, because you can take our transparent paints, like our transparent black, and mix it in with flow improver and get there much quicker. And your pigment load is so much better that it will do panel lines better, but it is inherently transparent. So if you're doing it on like gray plastic or white plastic, it won't be completely black. It will shade the inside of the panel line and allow more of it to show. It won't turn it all black. So your best way to do that is those products, those oil washes and things like that. That's what they're built for. You know me, like when I paint panel lines, I would never have to go back and panel line this, because look at how dark the panel line, you can see every panel line that is on this model. Yeah. Because I control the way I apply the paint, so you don't ever have to go back and panel line anything. I think panel lines look fake. I hate doing it. I've never enjoyed it. It probably stems from back when I was a kid, that you would use those techniques to filter in darkness on tanks and vehicles and things like that. And I just hated doing it. As a kid, I didn't have the skill set necessary, so I got really frustrated and messed my models up a lot. So I found other ways to work around it, and that's how I paint from a dark base coat to a highlight, always painting toward the light so that the crevices that are supposed to be dark can't get paint in them, and they stay the darkest color. They stay the color I painted them first. In this case, the dark navy blue is still my darkest color in all of my panel lines, except for the ones that face upward that wouldn't be dark anyway. I see people do the panel lines on Gundam and stuff, and they do the ones on the top of the shoulder, and why would that be dark? There's absolutely no reason. The light shines into it, it wouldn't be dark. So I don't paint that way. So that's one thing to think about too, is that if you're trying to do them, they don't have to be as dark as maybe you want them to be. If you could imagine a new type of paint that wasn't water or oil based, I mean, enamels, lacquers, acetone based paints, there's tons of other solvents. Yeah, with the Noosh, it'll also allow you to wipe it away from the excess that floats over the edge, like where you touch it with a brush and you get that splotch on the upper surface. You can still wipe that away too with Noosh, because Noosh acts like oil. It just won't ever get you to the point where it flows exactly the same. It'll do shorter distances, which you can do. You might just have to touch more times along the model to get it to work.
Jason,
Orky Fish Me. No, we're not doing a class. We're doing an AMA. We have an hour-long session where we get to just hang out in a room. We might order in pizza and have pizza and BYOB and stuff. We're just going to sit around and shoot the crap. I think it's an hour and a half, maybe.
I think so.
So it's like an hour and a half, Monument Hobbies, AMA, hobby industry talk.
Hey, speaking of that, tickets go on sale tomorrow.
I think so for
April
2.0.
Yep.
Yep, for 2.0. It kind of bogged down the first time, but now they're back up and running and have it all fixed.
I saw that.
Kendrick, definitely. Yeah. And I never want to say there's great tools, but sometimes in a hobby where you have people that do a certain thing over a certain time all the time and yet fail to realize why they're doing it or what it's good for, and do I have to do it, and what if I don't do it? Are there other methods to avoid that? You know, like I said, part of it is learned by me because I didn't enjoy doing panel lining. It just sucks my soul out to think about it, to sit there and tap it, and it's fun to watch it go black line and then wiping it off, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so horrible. Why would I do this? So I just start with black and don't spray into the panel lines. So I mean, like when we did our tank, same thing, right? Coming from a world of scale modeling, right? None of these panel lines had to be painted in. They're all just already dark because of the way we do our workup, right? So they're dark where they should be and not dark, you know, where they shouldn't be, because of the way we layer. So we started this one with black brown, and then when we painted all the panels, we pulled the paint towards the inside of the panel rather than just spraying every color willy-nilly over the model, because then you get more greens inside the dark panels. Treat every section like its own panel. So you airbrush the whole thing black brown. So now the whole thing is the color you want to be your darkness. Then when you go back in, when I paint this panel, I just paint in between the lines and in between the lines and in between the lines and so on and so forth. So I never hit this vertical panel with another color of paint. I'm always painting between it and this other line over here, and away from the edges, because the edges get dark from oil and rub too. And so in painting a tank, we just, if you go back and watch the VOD on this, because you put it up there, Chris, like the airbrushing a tank. So the video's on YouTube, and you'll see me paint the whole panel and then draw in to where at the end we're just doing a line of paint for the highlight. And I actually highlight, I think we show that like across the back of the tank head here. This looks like we've done a ton of weathering, but this is literally just the way it was airbrushed. Right? There's some scratches done on here, right?
But
somebody was asking earlier about the weathering, so we did the sponge weathering to get the scratches on there. But all of the darkness to light, there's no wash, no filter, no nothing put on this. This is literally all just the dark color, and then working my brightness up to the top and staying away from the edges creates that shadow on the panel. Right? So that panel highlighting method that I use for painting just about everything, even fantasy miniatures and whatever, you know, you can see it leaves a dark ring around the fender because I pulled my colors in tight. So now I don't ever have to really go back and worry about doing those filters or those colored, panel lining techniques. It just speeds everything up. And up on the top where there shouldn't really be panel lines, I can go back and I can do a little bit of a filter if I want it to be dirt and grime built up in it, but I can be selective with that. They just don't naturally get black. Like to go in and hit each and every one of these little dots with a color filter doesn't make sense because they have light shining in them. They wouldn't be dark, right? So at some point in time, take the light into account, recreate the light properly, and I can do darkness around the rim of the hatch where it would have oil and hand grease and things like that. I can do that on purpose. But I don't have to do the whole model, and you still get a great looking model. You can still replicate all the techniques that you see from everybody. Paint on plastic, doesn't matter. But you can recreate all those things in a simpler technique. And sometimes that's just because it's such a learned response. You've been doing it this way, and I do these 8 steps, and you can cut it down to 4 and get the same effect. So
that YouTube video link I just posted was the airbrushing of the vehicle. So check that out.
The brown gray wash is awesome, right? Yeah. Yep. The petroleum brown wash does the same thing. You know, you guys do a lot of tips for miniature painting, but not a lot of basing stuff. What's your process for basing, Sir Blame? Yeah, you know, we it's funny because we have done in the past, you know, like diorama bases and stuff.
That hasn't been the primary focus,
Yeah.
though, right? Like that has been something where you. I would say you like a more, obviously besides this kind of a piece.
When
you
we
like a
do
more simpler
involved
base.
pieces where the environment really comes in and we get complete, then it's a big deal. You know, and then there's things like where you have models like the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff where they give you tactical rocks and the terrain's all built onto it. But even here, we took some of our basing material and splotched it around to bring dirt into what would otherwise just be plastic stone,
Yeah.
right? So we bring basing material and stuff in on top of it all the time. And then there's just simple ways to do it, like when you're doing a model that doesn't really care about the environment, it's all about the model. So like when you have a big angry Care Bear, right, with a gold tooth, you for basing doesn't matter. So on this one, you put a little bit of the basing terrain. On this, I used the concrete and then the fine and coarse basing materials that we offer. And I use the fine and coarse to build up little mounds and then heavy piles of rock. So you get little mounds, heavy piles of rock, and then the general texture on here is concrete. So that gives me a way to build up layered dirt. I start with the finest of our basing pastes at like snow or concrete. I put that on there. Forget that they're called snow and concrete. They're just very fine texture. So they can be mud, they can be sand, they can be whatever you want them to be. But you put them on there and that gives you this texture. Then I layer the coarse and the fine, the ones with the chunkiness to them, on top of that, right, to give myself a splotchy texture to the earth that makes it look like natural earth, right, where, you know, rocks get kicked and loose and, you know, dislodged. And then these are just general tufts that you can put on there. But on a model that's less about the base, more about the model, this is kind of what I'll do so I don't detract from the model. Notice I use a lot of very desaturated neutral earth tones so they actually add to the ability for the eye to focus on the model because they become uninteresting until you look at them and then it's like, oh, that looks like dirt or mud or whatever, right? Because if you go too bright and garish with the earth on the base, then the model has to be about the base because it keeps you from looking at it. So when you have, you know, hot pink Care Bear, having just dull colored earth that's very neutral around him really pulls the focus to the model and does its work.
Yeah, I mean, also that's, you know, not the primary focus, I guess, for a lot of the workups we're doing, but, you know.
No, but, you know, like when you do stuff like this, where you have a diorama, right, and you want to tell a story of the model in the environment and the world that you've envisioned them in, I think that is glorious. That's where I come from with scale modeling, is building like 1/35th scale tanks and infantrymen on a diorama fighting in a city with brick all over the ground and fallen light poles and the tanks driving through a wall and whatever you do. And so to pull that off, you have the ability to do all sorts of stuff. Now, while this one may not be the most interesting thing you've ever seen, it does tell a story, right? We've got storm clouds in the background, you know, if you pop in real close. Right? You know, I've got the reflection of the city lights and the sun hitting the city lights back up into the top of the clouds. We've got a city that's falling down. If I pull it into focus, you can see the buildings are toppling and there's, you know, broken skyscrapers and things like that. And then I've painted the grass and then I come into, you know, the basing material here, which this is follicles off of a house painting brush, off of the DA100, right? Yeah, I tore Chris's brush up. And these are DA. I've always done this. I'll go buy the cheapest synthetic house painting brush that has as many bristles, like a big one, that as long as it's like $3 or $4. Buy that, and you've got grass effects and wires and stuff like that forever. Because that one brush, you just keep clipping hair off of it because the hairs are like 3 or 4 inches long. You just keep clipping hairs and, you know, breaking them apart, and then, you know, plant them in the ground, and that becomes dead weeds, right? But this is the same thing. This is just our concrete basing paste on top of here. I dug some holes in it, you know, and built up the paste where I gave it some texture, right? And again, some of the fine basing material to make little pebbles where, again, like the tarmac is all ripped up. So yeah, you can do all sorts of really cool stuff to tell a story. And then it's really, I mean, I love basing because it's like building terrain for boards. It's like, what do you want to do? You can find things around your house that become amazing, like Brillo pads become bushes and all sorts of crazy stuff that you have like under your sink. You know, tear the green part of the sponge off the back and you can shred that up and it becomes little tufts of grass. So you can make all sorts of really fun stuff when you go into diorama mode, you know, and then it helps plant the model into a scene and tells that story, which I think is super cool.
The mo you know. What's your PSI again? Is it 22?
22.
22?
Yep, 22. Where did this go? Was this up here? I did just pull this from up here, right?
Yeah.
Where the hell was it? Oh, on top of this thing? No. I guess so.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I put that where I grabbed this.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, that
go.
doesn't work at all. Guy's a beast.
What do you think about inks?
Love all the privacy make. What do you think about inks, and would Monument Hobbies make inks in the future? No, we make our transparents.
Thank you for first time chat, the grader.
Gregor. So our transparent paints are the answer to inks in the acrylic hobby space. Inks I don't like because they have weird iridescent finishes to them. They're not made for painting necessarily. Even the acrylic inks are not really made to adhere to solid surfaces like what we paint. They're all made for porous surfaces. They're made for going on to paper, canvas, things like that, where they can soak in. And they get less of that finish that way, right? And because the emulsifiers that they use in inks to get them to go into the substrate are weird when you paint them on plastic. So the transparents are single pigment paints that are super high intensity, that flow like inks. They're lower viscosity. They flow like a water-based ink, but they are acrylic paint. So they paint exactly the way you would expect them to. They spray through the airbrush like a dream. They do all of the intensity things that you want inks to do, but you'll never have any problems with them. From a painting standpoint, because they work like all of your other paints. So that was our answer when we released those years ago. That was the whole goal, was to have that be the thing we do instead of inks.
And that video I just posted to you, the grader, that is a video that Jordan did on the entirety of the line. So check that out. Sugar Rush says, make more transparents. I don't want to mix my own.
But that's the point.
That's the point, chat.
Mix your own, chat. That's why we come out with all those great colors. And white and black make that a possibility, right? Having the white and the black that don't act like black and white inks, right, is fantastic, because you really can load them in and they'll give you the ability to tint and tone and shade your transparents to a level that gives you so much flexibility. So good.
So good. Burp, burp, so good. I got you.
Bum, 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 bum.
Hey, speaking of painting and the hobby and us and we, the people.
Oh, God.
Welcome in, everybody. For all of you tuning in, welcome. Starting my Nova Open build this week. Nice.
We got to release our announcement. There's going to be, and I spoke with Tom from Nova Open last week, there's going to be an announcement here soon from us and Nova with regards to the texture trainers in their own judging category at Nova Open. So for all of you out there who are going to Nova, make sure that you're looking at painting up a texture trainer this year, because we will be judging the texture trainers in their own class with their own prizes.
With their own class and their own prizes. Now, is it going to be the same kind of judging style they do? Can you go over that?
We're going to be judging those.
Oh.
The Monument Hobbies team is going to be judging all of that.
Nice.
So that should be really cool. We're going to be going through and looking at that, I think. Now, they may come back and commit to giving us the judging from the normal Nova Open, which would be great. You know, if the Capital Palette judges have enough time. The problem is, I don't know, adding in more for them seems like a backbreaker, because that's already...
Sure.
You saw it last year. It's like, holy crap,
dude. They were there for a long time.
That takes forever. Yeah, any of the texture trainers, and including the Nova Open one. There will be a new Nova Open texture trainer this year. There will be a commemorative Nova Open texture trainer each year. So this year we have the new one that we'll be starting work on here very soon. Excited to share that with everybody. That model will be available for the first time at Nova Open. Don't worry if you don't get to go, then it'll be on the website afterwards.
Rattlecan, all of the texture trainers, not just the salamander.
You can use any of them. Yep. Any of ours.
We have it's funny, I actually was making that schedule today, so that will be coming out this week with all those details, chat. Yep, you could use the Crone, you could use that.
Any of them. You pick.
Sugar Rush is asking, new Nova paint, question mark?
No. No,
Just a
Nova
texture
Orange was a
trainer.
one-off thing. It'll stay as part of the line, but we won't be doing another color with them. At least that's not on the table right now. I don't know what we do. They have orange, orange, and orange, so...
Its own category. That'll be fun. Orky Fish is asking, can I alter the texture trainer?
Yeah, you can.
Git bash the texture trainer?
You can convert if that's your gig. I got to be able to tell that it's an original texture trainer, but yeah, if you want to sculpt stuff on it, alter it, go for it. I think that's fun. The new one's going to be bitching. We're not at the point where we're starting to sculpt it yet, but I've already seen the artwork. We did one of the artworks for it. We got rejected.
We got rejected?
We got rejected. Our artwork didn't get picked.
Oh. That's okay.
It's like pick last for kickball.
Well, yeah, we'll have more of those, that info for you all this week. That was on one of my questions for Jason today after stream, when I can go bug him after stream.
That's not how that works, Chris. After stream, I'm leaving.
No, you're not.
Immediately after
That's
stream.
when we do most of our
Immediately
hard,
after
deep
stream,
work.
I am leaving.
Don't go.
I'm going straight from this room to my car.
Can
you imagine the day that happens?
No, that's what I was literally just about to say. The day that you walk through this door, out that door, and into your car is the day that I don't even know. It's not happening. When is the Monument Hobbies, or when is the Monument Painting book coming out?
I was thinking about that recently. I would
Painting
love
books-
for us to publish a book.
Okay.
That was, a lot of my painting wisdom, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
I would love to do that. And I've been reluctant in the past, but I've
Interesting.
come around to the thought here recently because of some conversations with other people who have said, I really think your collected wisdom in a book would be fantastic. I do not have the first clue.
Dude, that would be a lot of time.
I do not have the first clue how to go about that and edit all of my nonsense in my brain of 45 plus years worth of, silliness.
Or how to even, we've talked about that in the way, way past of like a master class, but you're doing that every day, right? But
yeah, I think if you do it in a focused way where you could really just sit
Yeah.
down and look at it from okay, here's step one, that's a lot different than, because we do that here, but it would be a lot different if it were in a resource that you could hold in your hand. So
Yeah.
the answer is we're thinking about it. Chris doesn't know that. The marketing team doesn't know that, but they know that
Oh,
now.
I do now.
They do now.
I think it would be a great idea. It would probably be extremely involved.
Yeah,
for
it just
you.
is really hard to figure out, okay, what does that mean?
How do you actually put what you're doing? Because you can put it to words, right? There's those apps, those voice writer apps where you can.
I can
record
talk and then they...
Yeah, and then you can record, and that's what you edit based
AI
off of
chat.
that. That's like script writers. That's how people write their scripts sometimes. where
Yeah, they
they'll-
just walk on a treadmill and then they have a movie.
they'll do that, or they'll have the scene going on and it's writing the scene out, right, based off of that. But for
okay.
books, for you, it would definitely probably be a stream of consciousness, so you'd have to capture that in some way instead of you literally sitting down and writing it,
Oh, God, no.
because that would take forever. Schmidt's asking, would you partner up with the Art of guys?
Unfortunately, Dave and those guys are now part of the Evil Empire's factory team, so no.
The Art of? I don't even know what that is. Oh.
I used to work with Dave at Games Workshop.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Dave's great, and those books are fantastic. I think Vince's is coming out soon.
Yes. I did hear about Vince's book. Everybody has a book. Oh my gosh, who knows how long it would take to release a book. Not a bad idea.
I really like how the dark side comes alive with the edge highlights. Right.
Do you change any of your techniques when you're highlighting the dark side?
A little bit thinner edges if I can. but I'm not really concerned with it. The darkness to light contrast really solves all of the problems of it, being different.
The darker side.
Yeah, because you're laying such a high contrast line on, I try to in my brain think about making sure I do it thinner, but every now and then it gets thick anyway. I get a little willy nilly with it.
What's funny, Spaznat? He's asking, would there be an audiobook version? This is kind of the audiobook version.
Yeah, and don't we do that every day?
That's the thing. We kind of do the master classes. We kind of do class now, 5 days a week. So it's done and happening, right? But if it was more specific, I guess, because I guess you could do like base techniques in a book and then do specific examples, but then the example list could be a mile long, right? Like, which ones do you choose?
Yeah, I don't know. It's fun to think about because
metallic gold would be up there.
My idea would be to go through a bunch of techniques, describe them in a way that went from start to finish on a model. Mm-hmm. And then you can imagine there'd be a series of books. There'd be the life and miniature, of a human figure, and you could take it and tell a story with that miniature and talk about all the things that could alter that.
Yeah.
That could be a lot of fun. Then you could do one with vehicles because the thought process, while similar, is highly different.
Yep.
Can't do all the things. Well, you probably can. You just don't typically start thinking you're going to do all the same things with a vehicle that you do with a figure.
Ghost Hunter Masterclass, 5 days a week. Does that mean Chris is a master painter? Not yet. I'm learning.
It's funny because we all joke that he's the one that gets the master class on a daily basis.
It's true. I am watching this, and not passively. I'm also clicking when to record B-roll, which is happening in front of you right now. I'm taking away that B-roll, but I'm watching it. I'm not just sitting here chat with my thumb up my booty,
being pretty. Not just the pretty guy.
That's why I don't have a camera, because you can't see me like a madman going around here. But I got it dialed in. And I am dialed in.
Here we go, Chet.
Now, I have been getting better at painting. I will say that. Let me rephrase that. Not better at painting, better at exploring. That is what I've actually gotten better at. Is getting better at trying things and just to try them.
Chris is the only one in the entire office, including me, who has an absolute amazing case full of minis at his workstation. I'm just going to call it what it is. I was looking at your case the other day, and I was blown away. I was like, oh, I haven't ever paid attention because I just think big tree giants and stuff like that.
This is true.
There's some really good progress done in there, Chris. Some of your stuff's looking really, really good.
I've got a couple. Right now, I've been on ever since you did, I actually just bought the paints last week, the ones you did your dead zombies with.
Yeah.
I've really been trying to do the glazing with the airbrush.
Yeah.
Over underpainting, and actually not finding the consistency to where it doesn't just blast paint on there.
Right.
But actually being like, okay, this is a filter, not me just blasting paint. So I've been practicing that in particular. But yeah, I'm trying to paint. Oh my gosh, I try to get over the last probably several months at least 3 times a week. Even if it's just me testing something out. But yeah, it's coming along.
Nice.
I appreciate it. One of these days, chat, I do have a secret cam, but I won't turn it on.
It's not even secret. He's shown it to you before.
I have.
He always hides behind something. This guy is like, Mr. Hollywood.
Hollywood!
But he's so afraid of the camera. This is why.
I'm better behind the camera.
A face made for radio.
That's right. Better behind the camera. Bud, your Moonstone minis came out awesome. Oh, nice. Yes. I showed those to you all last week. That was a challenge for myself to just paint a squad in a weekend, no matter how it came out.
Are those in your case?
Those are in my case now. Yeah. That was a fast project. I showed him on stream when Jordan was here.
Gotcha.
But that was just me trying to just get it done and not overthink it. One of those I need to rework probably, but I'm like, it looks finished to me.
A lot of that is good, right? That I'm done enough for this, and being okay with it. 100%. It's such a huge task. Anytime you start, especially, like, you may not get involved in minis the first day and think that, right? You're just like, yeah, I don't know how to paint. I'm just wanting to have some fun. And so you just do a little bit. But then when he starts to click with you, it gets harder and harder to know when to call it finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with those, I'm like, well, you know what? Like I said, my transition now is just like, okay, I wanted to try to paint something and paint it quick and paint it efficiently, but not overthink it because it's for a game that I might not even play.
Yeah.
Right? Which I'm actually okay with that now because I like the models and how they looked. 100% that's why I bought that game. We're going to try playing it, but I did not buy those models.
Yeah, if you never do, it's like it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. It looks good.
Who cares? It'll be fun.
That's yeah, that's right. It looks good and I'm done.
I buy models strictly. I half the time don't even know what game they're from.
Yeah.
Don't even care. I'm like, that's a cool model. I'll paint that. Yep. And then people are like, oh, you going to play that game? I'm like, no idea what you're talking about. It frustrates people because they're like, oh, wait, what? You bought that cool model? You know, you paid $80 for that rad resin model and you don't even know what game it's for? I'm like, does it matter? The model's rad.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Moonstones are, obviously that game does look fun, but I'm not, they're just fun models. I do paint trees. I also do know my lane that I like, and it's just those are the things that make me happy, Ghost Hunter, because I just like painting trees.
Yeah, 100%. Which is cool.
That's just me in a nutshell.
Very cool. You gotta know.
The Mo you know?
We know Mo. He was here earlier.
Wow. It's already 4:00, Jason.
No. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Guys, it's been one of those amazing streams where I have done the same thing for 2 hours.
But it went by so quick. It really did. Look at this. If y'all needed to know how to paint some white, which that stream actually did pretty good. I just am looking at that now. Oh. Probably because of the title.
I mean, we got the edging done, primarily done. I got a couple of things I got to do, like this a little bit more on the dark side here, right. this ankle cover thing, and then the gun up here, and the rest of this backpack. But it's very, very close. A little bit on the chest over here, but for the most part, like when we look at it from the money shot, we're pretty close to done. Everything that I haven't outlined is what's going to be kind of gunmetal color. I have an image of doing it in like kind of a bluish black non-metallic metal.
Yeah.
Right. And we haven't done a lot of non-metallic shine on the white because it'll be weathered. So I think leaving it for the metal, like this part of the gun, the little barrel that rotates on the gun, we'll do that in that color. A lot of the nodules sticking off, all of the leg hinge bits will be done like that. So there'll be a lot of that blue-black from the back, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll do it in blue-black kind of colors, Payne's gray, blue-black, white, blue, kind of very quick Wish.com non-metallic metal to play off of the fact that dark navy. Heck, we might even base it with dark navy since we have the dark navy as a base for the suit. We might do the metal in that dark navy just to pull it all together. That could be kind of cool as to why the reflections on the white are in that dark navy is because of all of the dark navy colors. Then we got to figure out a color for his head, and we'll do some markings on him and stuff like that. But I intend to finish the model, or as finished as I ever do anything.
Sure.
Because it's a fun model to paint. I really do like this. As much as I'm not a fan of 40K Tau, this is being a fun model to paint.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely getting the example across for sure.
Well, and we had a twofold question for armor and Tau. So I want to finish the Tau for the people that wanted me to see me paint Tau, because we never paint stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
We paint Space Marines and Space Marines.
That's pretty much
when it comes to 40K. I don't know. It's either the bad ones or the good ones, but they're always the Marines.
You've painted orcs before.
Oh, orcs.
Like orcs.
I love orcs.
Yeah, Gazgul Thraka.
Age of Sigmar, Stormcast, Eternals. Yeah, that's what we were showing earlier, was the kind of old Rustcast Eternal guys that I was doing way back in the day when this push fit set came out. Right, and we've shown other models that we've done onesies of, and we did an entire Lumineth Realm Lords army, 2,000 points in a week that we did as
you like those the fantasy style more
as a deal. I'm a much bigger fan of painting fantasy models than I am sci-fi models for armies. Sci-fi models for armies tend to get way repetitive. The same can be true of fantasy models, but it feels like every unit at least feels a lot different. Whereas if you paint an army of Space Marines, every unit is exactly the same, just their weapon loadout and maybe a little bit in the Primaris armor feels different now. But yeah, I love these guys. Stormcast was my jam. I'm like, yes, I would paint a Stormcast army, because even though they all have, they're Sigmarines, but all of their armor is different enough. With some of them have robes, and some of them have wings like this, so there's all sorts of really cool stuff that you can do with them. So Stormcast I have the dragons. I just never really got inspired enough to paint a whole army other than the Sylvaneth that we did, or the Lumineth that we did, was because I got challenged to play a game by Philip.
Yep.
And I said, well, it has to be fully painted. So I'll do a 2,000 points in a week. And I did, and we played, and I lost. So I would love to do a Tyranid. I love the big bugs. So maybe we'll find a model. We have models around here. I've got tons of Tyranid models.
We could do. We have Tyranids.
We have Tyranids because they came in the 2-player set with the Space Marines, so we still have all that crap. Jordan painted some of it, but we still have some of that crap.
We have so much.
We have Tyranids, so yeah, we've got some good stuff we could do. How much would we need to twist your arm for a Gundam? I've painted a Gundam on stream before too. I painted in white.
He's also kind of painting a Gundam right now.
I mean, it's Tau. It's Tau Gundam, same thing, right?
They're all the same.
Here's how to piss off half the nerds. Here's how to piss off 99.9% of the nerds. Tau Gundam, same thing.
That's probably true.
Right?
Oh my god.
What am I missing, chat?
No, that's it.
What am I missing? What am I missing, chat? Paint more orcs? Yeah, again, I'm a fan of any big characters, so painting anything. I mean, I love stuff like this. I don't remember where we got this guy, some board game we have laying around.
Did you go into that storage room and see how all those...
Yeah, I just pulled a bunch of stuff off the shelves, right? Because we have millions of models.
That's literally what it's for.
We painted this guy up on stream real quick, showing you how to do turn all paints into speed paints and do that. So, doing his purple skin over Zenithal highlighted and all that. But I love anything like this. So if you find like big orc characters and stuff we could paint, Tau's like this. I mean, painting a ghost kill is cool. I don't want to paint little fish dudes. I don't want to paint like Tau infantry very much, but painting like a ghost keel or a riptide is a lot of fun.
A big hive tyrant, yes, that would be cool, but not the little.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know if it came with a hive tyrant. It came with.
I don't know that I want to do really huge dudes, but we could do like the smaller ones, like a winged warrior or something like that. We out of here. Did I play StarCraft? There's a new war game coming out for it. Oh, really? I don't know how a tabletop war game for StarCraft will even survive. I think it'll be a flash in the pan. Nobody cares about Zerg or the Marines when there's 40K, because it'll look like, even though it's StarCraft and has the name on it, it will look like a straight ripoff of 40K. Because that's what it is. Regardless of how that whole thing fell out, it's what 40K became first. So
yeah,
I just feel like it as a tabletop war game doesn't enthuse me. As a video game, I liked it for a while. It's still not right up my alley because I don't like RTS games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things like that go. I think that's just an IP play. That's a quick money grab on Kickstarter, probably.
There we go.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Again, if you're new around here, please hit that follow button or the subscribe button if you're over on YouTube.
Yep.
And we'd love to see you back. We stream Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm not here tomorrow.
Not tomorrow?
I'm not here tomorrow.
We'll have Jordan.
So Jordan will be painting tomorrow, but I'll be back here with you on Wednesday. I got a business meeting all day tomorrow, like literally from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Ooh.
That includes all my drive time, but Jen and I both are going to a meeting, so wish us well. Hopefully you survive. But I'll be back Wednesday. But we do stream 5 days a week. We always got great content going on here. Hope you had fun today. We tell fart jokes. We hit the fart button. And lots of therapy.
That's right.
What did he just say? Did he burp?
What kind of changes would you like to make in your life?
I would like my therapist to not burp at me. Whatever it was you just did, that's horrible.
Uh-huh.
But 5 days a week, so we'd love to see you back here Monday through Friday. Also join us in our community over on Discord. We've got over 5,600 amazing art. We're approaching 6,000 artists who paint little men. It's nuts. Amazing artists in the Discord just like you. I'm all out of edging jokes, or else I would have put one here.
Oh my gosh.
You kind of have to be out of edging jokes because I've literally edged like 5 million edges.
You have.
It's insane. It's insane. I would like to change my pants, says Wad. I mean, well then you are a grown ass man. Change your pants.
Grown ass man.
You're a grown ass man. Change your pants, Wad. But thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Make sure to check out the links Chris put in chat. You can go check out monumenthobbies.com if it's your first foray into our product line. We make the wonderful Pro Acryl paints and Pro Series brushes and lots of other great stuff. Evo Go Bag, Gentastic's Drunken Brush Goop. We got it all. Go give us a look next time you are looking for some hobby goodness. We'd love to see you a part of the family. And then also the FLGS link so you can see if there's a local store near you. If you are looking to pick up some Monument Hobby stuff, always try your local stores first. We love seeing you support your local FLGS. They do all the hard work, create the social places where we go hang out, meet new friends, and have fun in the hobby. So please support your local game store, especially in the troubling times we're in right now. Always a big help. Buy local, buy small, keep it going. And stick around because Chris is going to find us somebody to raid. So show some love in the chat as you go on with some more hobby goodness into your evening, and have a wonderful one. Don't do anything we wouldn't do, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Adios, gang.